Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lee Godbold with Junk Removal Authority, tuning in for our Tuesday and Thursday episodes of Making Hay with JRA. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Please check us out at junkra.com. A lot of great information on there. And also, subscribe to our channel below if you would, and comment. Let us know what you think of today's episode. If you guys have any questions you'd like us to cover on any type of topic throughout this episode, please post. We are going to, instead of covering one topic throughout the episode for like we have been in the past, we are going to split it up into some shorter topics. We're also going to keep the time slot around 30 to 40 minutes rather than an hour. We're going to try and give as much information in that 30 and 40 minutes as we can. We got business package customers in town today training. That's what we've got. We're kind of working on. And now let's get started. Again, guys, any questions at all, please post in the comments. So, one of the things we're going to talk about right now is something that I've had a couple of consulting calls this week, and one of the things that's come up is what is my opinion on debt? Debt as far as going in business, debt when you want to grow. Debt is great. Debt is a fantastic tool if you use it properly and correctly. You got Dave Ramsey out there that says you should never go in debt for anything ever at all. And that's incorrect. And then you've got guys that sit there and they take their credit card out and they just spend freely with their credit card, and they go and buy all kinds of stuff that they're getting no return on at all. They're taking debt out, they're getting no return. That's incorrect. So somewhere in between, you've got the correct thing. If you're going to consumer debt, for the most part, is not a great thing. I'm all for using a credit card to build up rewards points, so on and so forth. But consumer debt, you want to limit. Car payments, if it's a vehicle that's not earning you money and you don't have some extra money out there, you probably shouldn't be driving around in a Rolls Royce when if you're only making $100,000 a year, or not a Rolls Royce, a Range Rover. If you're only making $100,000 a year, you probably need to be in something a bit less. On the other end, the times where debt's good is if it's an income producing asset. In the case of junk removal, your vehicle. The last thing you want, so many of you guys go out there, and I did this. First vehicle we ever purchased for junk removal was $4,000. It was a 2004 Ford F-150 pickup truck. We had a $1,500 trailer. We had $5,500 in our setup. That vehicle made us a bunch of money, but that vehicle also broke down, and we got jobs done much slower than had we had a dump vehicle. We then went to Isuzu trucks, and the Isuzu truck we bought worked out great. It was extremely reliable. The next one, we had to put an engine and transmission in it within the first 50,000 miles we owned it. So instead of and we paid like $18,000 for that truck, we wound up putting another $15,000 in it. So then, we're sitting there, what is that, $33,000 we've got in that vehicle. And for $900 a month, we could have had a brand new truck. I'm all for debt for things that produce income. Operating capital. If you got the courage to go out and you're confident in your junk removal business, and maybe this business package, we got these business package customers in town. If you've got a great system in place where you can make this work, you've seen it work, going in debt and to get some operating capital, I'm not against. Now make sure it's enough. Make sure if you're going to get debt for operating capital, go out and get $50,000 or $100,000 in debt. Talking to a guy yesterday, that's exactly what he's going to do. That you don't want crazy interest rates on that. And one of the key things when you borrow that money, any types of money, if you borrow it for operating capital, if you borrow it for advertising, whatever, is you want to spend it like you had to earn it. Tons of businesses out there fail because they get this operating capital, they get $100,000 in capital, and they go out and they buy stuff that doesn't produce income, stuff they don't need. It was free money, basically. It's not free money, they're just paying for it later rather than now. So if you get that $100,000, you need to make sure you're spending it on the right things. Operating capital, in order for you to have enough people, vehicle loan, I'm fine for it. The nice thing with the vehicle loan is the worst thing, you might lose a little bit of money. If your business does go out, then you sell the vehicle, and if there's a difference between what you owe and what you get for it, you have to make up that difference. It's not the end of the world. So don't be afraid of brand new vehicles. So many people are afraid of brand new vehicles. A brand new vehicle for a business that you're making payments on is different from a vehicle, brand new vehicle for a consumer that you're not making money on, that you're making payments on. There's two completely different things here. So many people confuse that. Advertising. Without advertising, you will not build a significant size business. Do not be afraid of debt to increase advertising spending. guys, this is fairly aggressive right here. This is a matter of you letting go in the vine and trusting that there's going to be something underneath that's going to catch you. Not all of you guys are going to be comfortable doing this, but I don't want you afraid of it, because all the time you've heard from people to really discourage debt. And debt, if used properly, can be one of the greatest tools ever in your business. Now, in the case of this last consulting call, this individual was interested. He was going to take out, I think it was about $150,000 that he had determined he was going to be able to borrow. And part of what he was going to take on that was taking about $35,000 and putting it down on a property where he could store his dumpsters. He's getting in the dumpster rental business. He's talking about doing a little bit of junk removal, but he's getting in the dumpster rental business. So I advised him, and also he's going to have to go outside, a little farther outside of his service area. So he's going to have to drive farther in order to get a cheaper facility, but he wanted to purchase rather than rent. He could put $35,000 down on about a $300,000 property or $400,000 property, and that's what he was doing. What I advised him to do is, instead, since you have limited resources, you got $150,000, don't take that money and put that down payment down. Go ahead and rent, because it's going to take you, but by the time you pay property taxes, you get a mortgage payment to pay too. I mean, it's how long you can rent for a very, very long period of time before it's like 2.5 years before you've even reached the amount of your down payment. So that purchasing property too early on, I'd rather you take that money and put it towards something that's actually going to earn you money. Real estate's great to own, but it's not really going to make you money when you're occupying it in the short term, especially. Get out there, get known, get advertising, get vehicles that are going to be reliable, get people to help you do the job. We got any questions at all, Aaron?
Yeah, we've got one in here on YouTube. The question is, what's your take on incorporating or becoming an LLC with your junk removal business?
Yeah, so incorporating and becoming an LLC are basically the same thing. You're creating a business entity. Now, what you're probably talking about is, all right, you've got your choice of doing a sole proprietorship, a C corporation, S corporation, or an LLC. For the vast majority of individuals out there, an LLC is going to be the way to go. You can go on rocketlawyer.com or US Legal Forms. I guess I use US Legal Forms normally. uslegalforms.com. You do not need, unless you have a sophisticated personal financial situation where you already have businesses, you've already got a fair amount of money saved up, you've got real estate you own. If you're already in that position, you're going to know, and you're probably not asking me this question, you're going to know that you need to get professional legal counsel. But for those of you that have never started a business before, you've got a very simple portfolio. Maybe you own a house, you own a car, something very, very simple. LLC 99.9% of the time is going to be what you need. You can go straight to uslegalforms.com, go to start an LLC, go through this process. You might be in it for $400, depending on what the filing fee is for the LLC. So I would definitely not operate as a sole proprietorship, because you're opening yourself up to full liability if anything happens. If something happens and you kill somebody on a job site, you damage property significantly, they can technically come after your house. If you have an LLC, it is going to be much, much, much more difficult for them to do what's called pierce the corporate veil. So an LLC is generally the way to go. LLC is what's called a pass-through entity compared to a C corporation. What happens with a C corporation is a C corporation is its own legal entity all itself. So the profits the company owns is taxed. And anything you take out of that company, let's say the company profits $50,000, the company itself is going to be taxed at $50,000, and I think it's going to be at 15%. So you're going to pay $15,000. You'll pay. It'll be $7,500. You'll pay $7,500 in taxes on that $50,000. Then you take it out and you pass it on to your own personal return, and if that's all you earned, it's going to be taxed at maybe another 25%. So you get double taxation there. So you have almost 40% taxes that are paid there, rather than it being just 25% had it been an LLC or a pass-through entity. Now, the C corporation, I don't want to complicate this too much, but a C corporation is nice in the fact that oftentimes if you have a lot of equipment purchases and you're growing, you'll keep the profits within the company, and you're going to have a lower tax rate. The top corporate tax rate is the corporate tax rate is 15% up until a certain amount of net profit per year. I can't remember what it is. We could look it up. I think it used to be 50,000, maybe it's 150,000, but it's going to be lower than your personal tax rate. So there are some advantages in some situations for C corporations, but LLCs are generally the way to go. Anything else?
Yeah, we got one question on Facebook from Manny. What about credit? What is the best form of credit? I currently have an Amex, which has 0% interest for another 4 months out of 16, but will go to 17% when that promo is over. Is there a cheaper alternative or better move?
If you pay your credit card off every single month, you're not going to have any interest on it at all. If you're carrying interest, 17% on credit cards that's about the going rate. So I don't know as if there's a really good. I'd shop around. If you can find, we have a Capital One card that we get. I think it's 2% cash back. We put our Google ad spend on that Capital One card, and I think throughout the year we probably, I can't remember the exact amount we get, but we probably get $20,000, and maybe it's not that high, maybe at least $15,000 in cash back on that card. So that helps offset if we run a balance or carry a balance. That helps offset it some. Credit card debt is high interest debt. I'm not opposed to you doing it in certain situations. One thing to look into: see if you can get a line of credit from your local bank. We've got a line of credit. I think it's we have a $75,000 line of credit, and we don't tap into it very often. But from time to time, we had a customer that owed us about $70,000 recently. They finally made a payment, but we did tap into that line of credit in that meantime. We pay 4.5% on that line of credit, so it's much smaller than a credit card. Definitely look into getting a line of credit if at all possible. All right, guys. So again, hey, Junk Removal Authority, you can always check us out online at JunkRA.com. Business packages. We do video commercials, Facebook advertising, complete campaigns, SEO, Google Ads management, general consulting work, build websites, anything you need to run your junk removal business. We've probably got an answer for it. Check us out at JunkRA.com. You can call us at 919-617-1975. One of the most common questions we get, and when a lot of people, you start a new business, you want to have multiple different services, and people think if I have multiple services, then I'm going to be able to grow a larger business because I have more clientele. That is a falsehood in the service industry. Yeah, if you own a restaurant, you're going to want some selection. Probably you're going to want some selection on different items that people can order. Maybe not, if something's good enough. But with a business, specializing is key right now. That doesn't mean that sometime later on down the line you don't expand into a different service, be it cleaning or dumpster removal or moving, whatever, but try and specialize. I don't care if you choose dumpsters first and then junk removal second. I would suggest you do not combine the two. Dumpsters are going to be much more expensive to get into. If you're going to get into dumpsters, you need to be able to purchase really at minimum 10 bins right up front. I would rather see you at 50 bins right up front so you can actually give this thing a great shot. Junk removal, and on the other hand, one dump truck is going to get you up and going fantastic. So the problem with dumpsters and junk removal, it's two completely different types of clientele. Yes, you're going to have residential customers that will want to rent dumpsters, but oftentimes you can sell them on using your full service junk removal company. And you're going to make generally more money on junk removal. With dumpsters, yeah, there's no labor involved, but you got to drop that bin off. You have to come back and pick it up, then you have to go and dump it. You're making 2 trips, whereas junk removal, you're just one. The majority of your expense oftentimes is actually the drive time and the fuel and the wear and tear on your vehicle to actually get out to the job site. You're doubling that up on dumpster rentals. You're charging less. The extra amount, you more than make up for the extra amount in terms of labor. If you encounter a customer that needs a dumpster, if it's an estate clean out, they want to sort through their customers, their parents' stuff, or if it is a job, you just have somebody that wants to do it on their own, renting a dumpster, partner with a dumpster rental company to send them referrals. Maybe you can send referrals back and forth, or try and get some sort of referral fee. We have a dumpster rental company we're able to send, and if for every dumpster we refer, we get $50 off of on that dumpster referral. It's a great way to set it up. You don't have to deal with it. Dumpster companies, on the other hand, the majority of your business, the bread and butter, is going to be on new home construction and commercial accounts. That's old-fashioned selling. Junk removal, on the other hand, is mainly online marketing. two completely different markets. You're going to spread yourself too thin. You don't need to spend a lot of money on online marketing for dumpster rental. You do need a good website. Social media stuff is great. If it's catchy, they're going to remember it. You got to do something funny normally to really get their attention. But the most money to be made is going to be old-fashioned selling in dumpster rental. If you are going to get into dumpster rental, I would consider getting mini bins, 20 yards or under. So get like a 10, 15, 20, maybe even an 8, or pick one of those. If you're starting out with limited inventory, I'd probably get a 15-yard bin or a 20-yard bin at most. And I'd order 10 of those. You don't want to order 2 40s, 2 20s, 2 10s, and some other combination, because your inventory becomes to get an issue. You don't know exactly. You might know what's on site, but you have a customer that needs a different size. Instead, what you could do on dumpster rentals, if you have a 20-yard container, you could treat it like a junk removal company does, where if you fill it if it's half full or under, it's $300. If it's half full to full, it's $400. So you give them some sort of a price break. You junk removal guys out there, remember, junk removal is actually cheaper than dumpster rental for smaller loads generally. Most dumpster rental companies are going to charge one rate to bring that thing out one way or the other. Whether you fill it all the way up or if you fill it just a quarter of the way, it's one flat rate. Quarter load and half loads, you're generally better off. The customer's normally better off. It's less money with a junk removal company, and they're not having to load on their own, and it's done all at once. They're not having to drop a bin off and come back, and there's less chance of property damage. And we take electronics, and we can have mixed loads of construction materials as well as household debris. There's a huge amount of advantage to junk removal companies. If you have somebody that calls you up wanting dumpster rental, then you can sell that individual on your junk removal service, and oftentimes you'll get them converted over. Unless it's just a really large job, it's multiple truckloads and they just want to do it on their own. It's definitely, if it's like a 3 truckload job, a 40-yard job, a 40-yard container you might be able to get for $700 depending on your area. Well, 40 yards on one of our trucks, that's 3 truckloads, and you're looking at $1,700. So, but all labor's, we do provide labor. We might tack on labor, but all labor's is provided. When you grow, you can start a different service, but don't spread yourself too thin. Build your core business is really large to where that thing's running almost without you. You've got a GM in place or a supervisor in place. You can leave town for 3 weeks, come back, everything's running great. Once that's done, it's time to expand into another area or into another service. Aaron, we got any questions before we move on to the next topic?
We got one from Good Karma on YouTube saying, my local news station just reached out and are doing a spring cleaning special. I know Got Junk was put on the map because of this. What about junk doctors? Have you ever done something like that?
We are not experts at free press. We've gotten very little of it. We've gotten some, but also the nice thing is Got Junk, when they were new, their professional service was new, it was catchy. They got a fair amount of free press. We haven't done a great job of that in the past. We have brought people on that know how to get us attention now, and we expect to start getting a lot more free press attention eventually. My experience is oftentimes the spring cleaning stuff for the local news, they contact you and then you talk to them and it turns out they want you to pay for advertising. I would be very surprised, Mike, if that is actually a free publicity. Hopefully it is. It'll be great for you if you can nail that knock that out of the park. Any other questions? I will add one other thing on dumpster rentals that I forgot. Create you a landing page on your website for dumpster rental alternative. You'll notice that 1-800-GOT-JUNK does this. And if you run some good SEO on it, it can SEO well. People will call you thinking that they're calling a dumpster rental company, but you can actually sell them on your junk removal service when it turns out you don't offer dumpster rentals. Okay, so shifting into our final topic for today. Like I said, guys, we're keeping this to 30 to 40 minutes now. If you guys got any questions, please go ahead and come out with them because we're coming up on 10 minutes now. SEO. We're not going to go in depth on SEO. I am going to tell you need to lay the proper foundation for your search engine optimization. The 2 things that have got to be done correctly on your website for it to rank well on Google now. This has been a change within about the last year. They've increased the importance of these 2 factors. Site speed and is it secure? So you have to have an SSL certificate, and you need to have a you need to have good site speed. So, I mean, and all you can do, what you can do is you can go on Google. Now, we use tools that we pay thousands of dollars every year on to test a lot of the stuff on SEO if you go with our SEO service. But you can go to site speed test, and this Pingdom is the one I often use. Let's test out a URL here. So one of our competitors is McJunk. Let's see McJunk's site speed. It's going to be on a scale out of 100. Can take a little bit of time sometimes, but you guys can do this. It's free. Type in site speed test on Google. Go to Pingdom. Enter in the address. You can see right here their performance grade is a D. So you would obviously want to get that. That needs to get improved. You want to see at least a B, ideally, on this site speed, and then get you an SSL certificate. So you'll know if there's not an SSL certificate. It'll say, what's a site I just went to that's not secure? It says not secure at the top on Google. I can't remember the last one I went to that's not secure. Those two things, knock out those two things, and your organic rankings are going to rise tremendously. Those need to be your first two things that you work on. Then you need to go into content creation, link building, that sort of stuff. When you jump right to link building or content creation and you don't have those two things right, it's like you're building a house without a foundation. The foundation comes first, then come you frame in for your studs, then come the next on things down the line, plumbing, electrical, so on and so forth. You got to take this step by step, and the first two things you need to do is that site speed and getting that SSL certificate installed. Aaron, we got any questions at all? So. Guys, we might wrap just a bit early right there. JRA business package is $10,000. It's a fraction of what we charge, what franchises charge. It's the same great training material, years worth of consulting, full operations manuals, video training and testing series, 5 days of training at the junk doctor's office, both on the truck as well as in the classroom setting. And again, I can't remember it. 1 year of consulting. There's a lot of other stuff included as well. It's basically going to set you up for success. There are stuff we still are learning now. Just recently, hiring people. We had the trouble hiring with people. We can hire people at will now, and we'll talk about that in a later episode. But this is like a 2 week old discovery. We're 8 years in business. Something 2 weeks in we just discovered 2 weeks ago. You guys get that information. It might take you 7 or 8 years to learn what we learned. You learn it on day one. That's one less struggle you have to have. Contact us, 919-617-1975 if interested in the JRA business package, or check us out at junkra.com. Any final questions before we sign off?
Yeah, we got one
Awesome.
more coming in from Matthew on Facebook. How have you guys dealt with the whole "let me talk with my spouse first" situation? I've been getting that a lot lately.
Yeah, this one is easy if you handle it correctly. All right, here's a couple of the key things. Let me see if I can get this up on screen. What was that? AWW. This is it. Online whiteboard. Okay. You want to control your phone calls, guys. Every single call you take, you want to control. So the first thing you want to get is you want to gather info. And info gathering, what you want to know is you want to know where they are. You want to know what they have. Have they used you before? Previous customer. And what their time frame is. Get those pieces of information first. Then you're going to use this time frame to address this objection. So you're going to go through, you get those pieces of information. Then you go into the info giving stage. That's the next stage, is info giving. The third stage is scheduling. The info giving stage, you go immediately, that's when you give price information, how you work, so on and so forth, 2 hour arrival, when you explain kind of how your service works. You can roll right from price giving and info giving to scheduling the appointment. Once you go through and you asked, the first thing you do to start out is you've got this customer's time frame, and a lot of times you're going to avoid the spouse objection altogether by getting this time frame. So you go in, you say, we charge based on the amount of space your items take up in our trucks. Trucks are 8 feet wide. They're 10 feet long, 5 feet high, equivalent to 6 pickup truck loads. Pricing goes anywhere from a minimum of $125 to a full load rate of $540, 12 price points in between. Hey, we include all labor. There's nothing needed from you as far as loading everything up, and we're going to give you a firm price right up front. You'll know exactly what you're looking at before we start. I know you need this done by Friday. I can actually come on out tomorrow. We can be out there sometime between 10 to 12 in the morning or 3 to 5 in the afternoon. Of those two slots, which works best? And they might say, well, let me check. If they say at that point, let me check with my spouse, then you say, yeah, I completely understand. You definitely need to do that. However, I do know you've got this time frame. You're trying to get this done by Friday. We do have limited availability. My suggestion is let's go ahead and get you on the calendar. You can check with your spouse, and if for some reason your wife decides that she needs to change that around, doesn't want to use the service, whatever, hey, just give us a call back. We'll take you off the schedule. There's no charge for that. This will guarantee that you go ahead and get a spot, and otherwise we could fill up. Of the two slots I listed, which one works best, that 10 to 12 or that 3 to 5? This worked on me. I took a call yesterday. This worked perfect. Guy wanted to check with his mom, and he wound up scheduling for Wednesday. There's a chance he would have price shopped. Instead, we got him on the calendar, and he's a job. Use time frame to your advantage. The key on all this is if somebody calls up just for price, you control the call. You get their information first, then you give information. Don't do it the other way around. Don't have them call, ask for price, and you explain pricing immediately. You've gotten out of order. The chance you book that job has gone down by 12%. Any other questions?
We got one last question on YouTube, and this is from CPTV. Lee, when do you recommend stepping away from full-time job and doing junk removal services full-time?
A lot of that depends on how much money you're making. If you're making $25,000 a year, I'm going to give you a different answer than if you're making $200,000 a year. And yes, there are people that make $200,000 a year that get into junk removal. I know there's another fellow YouTuber out there that says that thinks you can't make $200,000 a year in junk removal. You can make $200,000 a year times 5 if you build up a large enough company in junk removal. So per year, if you are making $200,000 a year, and I'm guessing most people that watch this are not, but if you're making $200,000 a year, you're going to hold on to that job probably for 3 or 4 years. But the nice thing is if you're making that amount of money, go out and hire you a good GM. Find you somebody, and put systems in place to check them. Advertise hard. Advertise very aggressively. Don't worry about making money on your business. Hell, lose money on your business if you're making $200,000 a year. Take $50,000 of what you're making on that income and put it towards supplementing your business to help that grow quicker. You're going to be able to reduce that time frame to where you can equal your salary or at least come close. A lot of it's based on what your responsibilities are. If you have kids, if you've got a wife you're supporting, if you have a house payment you're making, you're going to be a lot less flexible to take a pay cut than if you don't have any of that stuff. Which also goes back towards when you're first starting a business, it's a great idea not to purchase a house to rent to start with and rent cheaply. Hell, hold off on kids if you can until you get this thing up and established. Those two things right there are going to give you a lot more flexibility to grow your business quicker. But if you are a high income earner, put that money towards building up your business faster. Now, if you're out there making $50,000 a year, you got to decide what the minimum amount you can live on is. If you can live off $25,000 or $30,000 a year, then I'd probably, and if you're doing this business on part-time and all of a sudden this thing is taking up a good portion of your time, at that point it's probably time to quit, start working the junk removal deal full-time. There's a good chance within a few months you're going to have almost equaled your income as far as what you're making from the job. It just depends on how much money you're making though. I will tell you, a lot of people wait too long. They do the part-time deal too fast. Go ahead and get off the truck. That's going to keep you motivated. It's going to make you desperate to go ahead and really build up your junk removal business. Any other questions, Aaron? All right, guys. Hey, every Tuesday and Thursday, 12 noon Eastern time, we bring you Making Hay with JRA. Please check us out at junkra.com. Call us at 919-617-1975. Really appreciate each and every one if you're tuning in. Please subscribe below, and we will be back before you know it.